Before you ask, it's tea, not coffee. I think everyone just assumes you drink coffee if you've got a YouTube channel, but no, I like a good old cup of me. In this video, I'm going to be going through how you can make an average looking photo like this into something a little bit like this. Normally we're inside Adobe Premiere Pro, but today we're going to be inside Adobe Lightroom. If you're new to Lightroom, hopefully this is a good introductory video whilst actually going through how I've curated, how I've put together or edited a photo that I took. So this is the image that we're going to be working on today. If you're already following me on Instagram, you'd have already seen this photo or an edited version of this photo. What we're going to try and do is recreate that photo. This is of my Huawei. My first impressions of this photo is nah. When I open a photo up, I always see what my first concerns are, because then I've got something to work towards. Some areas of this photo are more overexposed than I wanted to. For instance, the background texture. So if you see here, it's too bright. The main focus should be this watch. So this edit is going to be focused on making that watch stand out while everything around it supports it. My eyes are naturally drawn towards the plants more than the watch itself. It's probably due to the fact that these are fake IKEA plants. I mean, in fact, well, look, too vibrant, too bright. So that's another thing we're going to work on. You might see some resemblance with this control panel at the side, like Adobe Premiere and the Lumetri color panel that you have inside of that. First of all, I'm happy with the white balance. I think it looks pretty much how it did when I was shooting it. So I'm not going to adjust the white balance yet, unless we get to a stage later on where we think, tweak it a little bit. So first of all, I'm going to drop the exposure, mostly to combat the issue that I had regarding this overexposure in these areas. Somewhere, I want to say about there. Then I'm just going to mess around with the contrast. Contrast always gives an image a little bit of oomph. If you're going for that vibrant look, contrast will always work in your favour. Texture and clarity for this photo is really important because I want it to look almost hyper real. I don't technically know the difference between them. Mess around with the sliders and see what works well. That's the best advice I can give throughout all of this, to be honest with you, because everything that you do is subjective, and if you like it, bro. For clarity all the way to the left, that just, no. But then if we go to the opposite end, again, it's a little bit too much, so I'm just going to bring that down to somewhere around there, I want to say. If we hop over to the bottom corner, if you click on here, you can see a before and after view comparison. So already you can see it's lowered in exposure quite a fair bit, but that's what I wanted to do. There's still plenty more to do. Like I said earlier, the greens are really standing out in this image and I don't really want them to. Using the HSL tab in Lightroom, which stands for hue, saturation and luminance, you can adjust the hue, so the color value, the saturation value and the luminance value of each color, ranging from red all the way through to magenta, including greens, blues, purples, blah, 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 blah. With the hue, I might change it a little bit. I might make them, I'm gonna desaturate them because it stands out way too much. So let's bring those greens down to something like that. And then finally, those luminance values are also gonna go down quite a bit too. So I've really gotten rid of that vibrance and saturation within those greens, so then your eyes are more naturally drawn towards the watch now. Being able to adjust one colour gives you a lot more flexibility in refining the image to how you want, rather than going back up to the top and globally increasing the saturation on every colour. I am also going to adjust the blues as well, because on this watch, I want the strap to stand out a little bit as well. Look at that, too much. Something like about that. Moving further down comes to sharpening and noise reduction. To me, I don't need to sharpen it that much. I am going to add a little bit of noise reduction. There shouldn't be much noise in there anyway, because I shot at ISO 640, which is a low ISO for a full frame camera. However, I always like to add just a tad, because then I know I've done it. It gives me peace of mind. It does help and it does go a long way when used properly. But if you go too far, it really softens your image and it doesn't look good. So the next thing that I did was add a vignette, and this massively draws your attention towards the center of this image, and that's why it works so well on this photo, because the point of focus is smack bang in the middle of the image. What I always tend to do is drop this vignette all the way down as dark, to an extreme level. Then I'll adjust the midpoint, the roundness as well, and then I'll feather it a little bit more as well. And then I'll reduce the intensity of that vignette to a more suitable amount. There's one more thing, and that's something called a radial filter. If you're a Premiere Pro user, using a radial filter is similar to using masks. Up at the top here, you've got the option for either a graduated filter or a radial filter. You do have more restriction with the refinements that you can make with these filters, but it tends to be enough. At the beginning of editing this, I brought the exposure down so the background looked a lot darker. And I know it made the watch look a little bit darker as well. So what I'm going to do is bring that back in. First of all, make sure you select show selected mask overlay. So in red, those are the areas that your adjustments are going to take place. For this, I'm going to go down and click invert. So then it's the actual watch face itself. And then I'm just going to bring that life back into the watch. And I'm going to bring the highlights back up quite a fair bit because I really want the Roman numerals to stand out. I can just bring those whites all the way back up. And to be fair, I might even adjust the shadows a bit just so you've got a little bit of detail in those shadows again. If you want to crop your image, the crop tool is at the top there. I might just rotate it slightly just so these watch straps are completely vertical. All that's left now to do is get rid of any blemishes on the photo, whether that's a little bit of dust that's got on screen. If we zoom in, you can suddenly see a lot of little dust, and I was cleaning this, before every photo that I took using the spot removal feature. Click that, and that brush size should work. And I'm literally just going to go over these little bits of dust, and Lightroom does a good job in getting rid of most of these. No one's ever going to zoom this far into an image. However, just doing little things like that does go a long way, and it also reduces the risk of someone going. I think you'll find there's a bit of dust on the glass. In fact, let's see how good the spot removal feature is on this number 2. It's not bad if that's in the right spot. Let's zoom out. Oh, I'm happy with that. When you think you've got it to a stage that you're happy with, take a step back and have another look at it and see, is there anything else that I can tweak a little bit more? It might be something that we've already done in this video, but it's always worth doing. I actually think I can crop in a little bit more than I have done, so that's what I'm going to do. So if I hold in the Alt button and then drag the crop tool from a corner, it brings the crop inwards or outwards to scale. So if I do something like that, let's give it a quick reframe. I actually think I could bring in a little bit more of the vignette into the photo. Maybe something like that. You know what? I might even bring the saturation of those greens down even more. Really make that watch stand out. So let's head back up to HSL, to the saturation tab, desaturate those greens a little bit more. For a good measure, let's show the before and after again. There we go. That's what it was before on the left, and that's what we've turned it into on the right. The reason I've been able to manipulate this photo so much is because I shot in RAW. RAW is essentially data rather than a compressed image like a JPEG. If you're just getting into photography and if your camera allows it, make sure you're shooting in RAW, because then you'll be able to manipulate and adjust the photo as much as I have in this. I hope you've liked this episode. Hopefully there's some things in there that you'll take with you for when you're next editing your own photos. To anyone who's been watching the videos, or even if you just found it by chance, thank you for watching these videos. I've loved making these videos, so I'm going to continue making them, and yeah, I'll see you sometime. If not before New Year, I'll see you in 2021.